Begin with the reality of what's coming. It's just getting a lot more urgent now for millions of people along the East Coast. Hurricane Florence bearing down, and new evacuation orders now in effect for nearly every coastal county in South Carolina, along with portions of North Carolina and Virginia. South Carolina officials just a short time ago imploring those in the danger zone, get out of the way. This is a monster storm.
This is a serious storm, and somebody is going to get hit significantly. There's communities that will be affected and devastated by the impacts of this storm. So it's critical that we continue to communicate regularly, which is what this is about.
People in North Carolina and Virginia, as we mentioned, also being told to pack up, head inland. Still not clear exactly where this major hurricane will hit land, but many are heeding the warnings. Evacuate Hurricane Florence now. Packing winds, Hurricane Florence is now of at least 130 miles per hour. But as forecasters stress over and over, the storm surge and the flooding Florence is expected to bring to the shore will be just as life-threatening, if not more so, than the winds. We have reporters up and down the coast tracking this storm as it approaches. CNN's Kaylee Hartung will join us in just a moment from North Carolina. First, though, let's check in with Chad Myers, our meteorologist, with the latest from the Hurricane Center. Update us on the path, Chad, and what to expect.
What we should expect, John, is overnight tonight the storm to get back up to a strong 4, maybe 150 miles per hour. Right now we're 130. That doesn't seem like much, but it is. This storm is going to get a brand new eye wall in the middle of where it was last night. We lost that eye wall. A bigger eye wall started, and it generated into a round circle, but not quite round yet. We're going to wait for that roundness to get perfect before we really start to blow this thing up. You see, it's just a little bit oblong on one side. That's just enough to not allow it to breathe properly. Kind of like having a stuffy nose. But it's going to breathe tonight, and it's going to get much stronger. 150 miles per hour by 8 a.m. That is the official track, the official forecast. Now, the reason why people are starting to breathe a little bit easier is because the cone is getting smaller because the storm is getting closer. A wide cone because the storm's far away. As the storm gets closer, this cone is only now all the way to about Kill Devil Hills, maybe almost all the way down to Charleston, but not quite. The center of the cone, always the most important part. We don't want to watch it, but the chance of something hitting in the center part, about 30%. You move away about 50 miles, 20%. You move all the way out to the edge, about 10%. And then if you get outside, there's still a slight chance of it moving away from that cone. It's never a perfect cone, but with this storm, the models have been doing absolutely stellar work. The problem, John, is from here, when it makes landfall, probably Friday, 8 a.m. is a 120 mile per hour storm, to Sunday is only about 200 miles. This thing's going to stop, and it's going to rain, and it's going to rain. And people are going to say, okay, enough with this. Let's no more Harvey with this. Stop raining. And it's not going to stop raining. We could see 3 feet of rain.
Oof. 3 feet of rain. Chad, keep in touch. And anyone watching, listen to this. We're 2 days out, so you think I don't need to worry about this. Listen to Chad Myers, the rest of our team, over the next couple of days as they adjust the track. It's that rain. Remember, Harvey, that rain. Listen, and Chad, appreciate it. We'll check back. CNN's Kaylee Hartung, as we noted, watching evacuations along a stretch of North Carolina that could be, as Chad just outlined, right in the path. She joins us now from Wilmington. Kaylee, you understand how this works. People look at the skies behind you. They say, I've got a couple of days. Officials say, don't do that. Get the urgency now. Who's winning?
Yeah, well, John, it's a tough call, and it sure depends on who you talk to. Time on a lot of people's sides here, but officials really hoping people take advantage of that and get far ahead of this storm. Now, there are 2 ways out of Wilmington, North Carolina. We're at the foot of one of those bridges. That city, voluntary evacuation, but the barrier islands, or the beach towns, as people around here call them, that protect them from the ocean, those under mandatory evacuation. It's been a mixed bag of sentiment. You can always bet on finding those folks who say they want to try to ride out the storm.
I'm gassed up. I'm ready to go, but I plan on sticking it out. I'll make an evaluation tomorrow afternoon. If that thing's still coming at us at about 120 miles an hour, I may change my mind. But right now, I'm planning on riding it out.
That man, a resident of Brunswick County, says he believes his brick house that was built about 5 years ago could easily sustain at least 100-mile-an-hour winds. Now, this gas station that we're at, the pumps are staying busy, John. I talked to 2 young men earlier who said they had to drive 25 minutes from their homes in Delco to find a gas station that even had gas. But they've got it stocked up here, and people are here fueling up, whether they plan to stay or go.
It's always the fascinating debate. Kaylee Hartung in the center. But Kaylee, appreciate the reporting. We'll keep in touch in the hours and days ahead. Also joining us now live from Wilmington, Brett Adair. He's a field meteorologist and a storm chaser. Okay, Brett, you've been doing this for quite some time. You just heard Chad Myers in the Weather Center. You're on the ground there in Wilmington. Been at this for 15 years. What are you looking for when you hear Florence and how it is described as it comes? What are you looking for now?
Well, John, Chad's dead on. This thing's a very serious threat, and when we're looking at the impacts of Florence, I'm going to tell you, right now it looks like a beautiful day. Do not let that fool you. You can see behind me, they're taking the lifeguard stands now down here on Wrightsville Beach off the pedestal, so they're getting prepared for Florence as it begins to move toward the coastline. We've probably got another 24 hours of pretty good weather here, but don't let that fool you yet again. We spoke to the mayor a little bit yesterday, and he mentioned mandatory evacuations would likely either come late this afternoon or early in the morning for this area. And what we've been stressing to everyone is this is a very serious storm. Since Hurricane Hazel hit in 54 and Hugo in 89, this is the most serious potential impact to the Carolinas. So everybody needs to take this thing very seriously.
And in our most recent memory, you've been part of both of them. Harvey down in the Houston area, Maria in Puerto Rico. No one is ever the same, but as you prepare for Florence, what comes to mind? And to that point Chad was just making, he made the Harvey comparison about all that water. Where you are, what would that water do if it's anywhere near that size and scope?
Well, the biggest difference between this storm and Hurricane Harvey is the size. Overall, the size of Florence is much, much larger than Harvey. It could have some of those same impacts here in the Carolinas, but it could potentially be over a larger span. So that's absolutely what we're looking for. Those hurricane force winds to gust well over 100 miles an hour, potentially be sustained well over 100. And then the storm surge here. One of the largest storm surges in history was around 20 feet with Hazel and Hugo. And this area couldn't take 20 feet. There's a lot of inundation that would take place right along the coastline.
Brett, appreciate your help. Again, keep in touch over the next several days as you do your work and help us as much as you can. We appreciate it. And as you've heard, more than 1 million people now facing mandatory evacuation orders. 2 of those people are Randy O'Sullivan and her husband Blake. They're currently on the road heading from Hatteras Island, North Carolina to family in Maryland. Randy joins me on the phone now. So Randy, this is your house. You just decided to leave it behind. I understand some of your neighbors have stayed. How did you make the decision, not this time, I'm out of here?
Once we heard that it could be Category 4 landfall, and then also when they called for the mandatory evacuation of residents, which has happened, we decided to go ahead and head out of there.
And any conversations with the neighbors who are staying?
Not really, just that they were staying and doing the same kind of thing as us, preparing, you know, batten down the hatches, bringing things inside, and hoping for the best.
And you've got your husband with you. You have Bertha, I think, is your dog.
Yes.
Are you worried at all about what you left behind? How well have you prepared what you left behind?
We prepared as best we could. We tied everything down that was outside, brought things in, boarded up the windows, which we've never done before. And, you know, we have all of our important paperwork with us. I had to leave. I'm an artist, so I had to leave all my artwork and supplies at home. So, again, we're just hoping for the best, but we're definitely nervous.
And you mentioned that you're an artist. You're also pregnant. Is that one of the reasons you decided this time I'm not going to take the risk? And we understand that you used your artistic license, I shall call it, here on Family Television to leave a message for Florence.
Absolutely, yes. Being pregnant is definitely one of the big reasons that we decided to leave. And yes, I did leave my mark.
You left your mark. We're not going to show it in the noon hour here, but it is, shall we say, a pointed message to Florence. And Randy, we appreciate that. Best of luck to you. Please keep in touch. Make sure you make it up with your family. If you see anything interesting along the way, touch base with our team. Again, appreciate your help today. Best of luck.